Happy Holidays Tamers. Today we're going to be looking at the yellow set. I hate yellow. I hate yellow. I hate yellow. I hate yellow. Merry Christmas. I hate yellow. Good day, Tamers. It is day 3 of this Wunderwag expression of 6 days of Christmas my true love gave to me, pain and suffering in my soul, which is yellow and how I feel about it most of the time. So we'll start off with BT7, as this is where it kind of takes off. BT7 introduced a Heresy line and the lovely Resini, which I believe was from Alive or Arise, the phone app game. And then not long after this set came out, they announced that they were going to shut down the servers. So hope you didn't want to get involved in that game, because Banner does that a lot apparently. Pulsemon was also reintroduced here after being a promo card. The deck itself was quite interesting, but saw very little to no play, because it also introduced the yellow hybrids, which are super well costed in a way that you were just essentially spending 2 and then 1 more to gain yourself a recovery, essentially every turn on a tamer. Rossin seemed to have like a really cool way of playing, but again, didn't see much play. And then Kazu also looks really cool for recovery, as well as just being a dangerous boy. And again, never saw any play whatsoever. Zoe here, just essentially searching for any hybrid in your security, just seems fantastic. Ultra Terminate saw very little play. Electric Rush saw very little play, if any. This got an alt art, but saw little to no play. I know Fanimon and Seraphimon, both kind of awful cards, although this is a little better because recovery is always good. Again, there were rare slots taken up by these, which made it hard to get the rares, which are actually more important in the decks than these cards were. BT8 didn't see much usefulness here besides 1 card, which we'll talk about later, which essentially is Rapidmon. But again, while we're here, this is what we're getting. Again, same with Hawkmon. Armadillomon would have been fantastic if it had a bit better cards to work into. Unfortunately, it didn't, and that's kind of where it got stuck. Although this might be getting picked up soon to be used in Mastimon decks. Donaru had like a little play at one point to try and get rid of things with the Mon's DP effect, because there are a few searches like 1000 DP. People thought it would be good. Magnemon, super fantastic card, and has the ability to stack on top of each other thanks to the Golden Knight card. Rapidmon was the basic thought process around a lot of security control during the BT8 early days, because people was like, I'm going to run hybrid as a package, I'm going to run this as a package, and it was just very effectively annoying. Betsumon, I don't think anyone ever played this because it's a terrible card. Kyukumon, I don't think anyone ever played this either. Shuku, as we said in yesterday's episode, was in a weird place where you have the Angemon into this, going into Metal Greymon BT1, shooting at your sources and doing it all over again. Truby, I don't think I ever saw anyone play, but it did have a better version in the BT7 purple slot, I believe, as that was actually played a little bit. I think it won somewhere, I can't remember where though. As all along, the second iteration of this card that we've seen, and I don't think it was ever used anywhere particularly. It's okay card to be fair, but I think a lot of people prefer the original because the original is just quite good. Cody, if you have a yellow Digimon playing gain 1 memory, awesome. When one of your Digimon with 2 or more colours attacks, you may suspend this tamer to give one of your opponent's Digimon minus 2000 DP for the turn. Cody isn't too bad. It's actually quite interesting, as again, you're going to play this with like yellow hybrids, so you're always going to have yellow somewhere on the field, or you have Rapidmon here as a source of just disruption of pain. Curry being very effective as well in a security control deck, because you're essentially constantly going to be putting stuff back into security, so you'll be gaining memory at least once per turn, multiplicity, so you should be gaining like 4 per turn. So it did make things a bit more awkward for things to happen. And then Disaster Blaster, which I didn't think anyone played, and Plasma Shot, which is used in Armor Rush, and is a fairly decent card, especially mid to late game, because it's just going to ruin people's days. EX2 now, good old Digital Hazard. Brought out some very interesting cards in terms of Vixie, as well as the Sequoia and the Tau, I believe. This did lead to a different kind of option card strategy, which is quite interesting. Has now kind of been nerfed due to the fact that Sunblast has been removed to 1, so it doesn't get to do the whole silly cycling thing that you would have done otherwise in BT10. BT10. But no, again, some of the most fantastic art we've seen in this game. Not a massive fan of the rookies. I do think they could have done something a bit nicer, but I understand that they're meant to be reference cards. Lotman had its own deck in here with Intila, but again, I don't think they saw any play at all. Suzy or Shu Chong Wong. Sounds so terrible. I'm so sorry, everyone. On play, you may play one Lotmon from your hand without paying its memory cost. This will now be interesting in the EX4 set because there's new Lotmon stuff in green and maybe yellow, definitely in green. So it might be quite interesting to see her here with this stuff and just doing whatever you can. And again, as we spoke about earlier, this nice cycling of option cards with this. And Rika doing some cool things, which is when you attack, you may spend the tamer to play an option card with plugging in its name. It can be quite interesting. And that is yellow for EX2. Again, half these cards didn't really see much play, if any, but the Viximon sees play, Screamon sees play, and the Rika sees play, just because of how good these cards are. BT9. I can't remember much about BT9 happening for yellow. I think this didn't really add much to the security control variants. The only thing I think it did add really is this and this. But we'll go through it all anyway. So the Tokamon X antibody didn't really do anything for anyone. I think people were still using the old yellow cards to gain a memory when you pop something. Toygamon, a 2-cost rookie, which is always a valid idea, as we spoke about earlier. Having more of these floodgate Digimon just start to come in here. Players can't play Digimon by effects. It's more relevant now, oddly enough. Salamon here. On top of the other Salamons, the idea would be you put this on the Salamon that doesn't have on deletion, recover 1, you put it on top of another one, just gain recovery. Starmon, just a name card, but is level 4 with 4 cost 6k. It is interesting because I think it's Meteor Showers that lets you play Starmons. So, hopefully, one day in the future, we might see some action here. Gatomon X again didn't see any play. Neferti and Pegasus, far away, they didn't see much play, if any play. I think this might have seen a little play in BT1 Metal DNA deck. Dark Starmon, again, I don't think I saw any play, but again, I think people would move it with this and like other Etamon cards to try and make things work, but I don't think it does. Anti-Woman X Antibody, it makes sense that it should be a good card because it gives security out -1 and recover 1 if you have an Anti-Woman underneath it. As far as I was aware, I've never seen anyone actually use this card in a deck, but that doesn't mean that they don't use it in a deck. Rise Greymon X Antibody was going to be used fantastically, continuously in Yellow Hybrid, but at the same time, did get the nerf on the Jet Selfie, which then made people stop playing that package. Or less of that package. Rogermon, again, the Digimon version of the Gate Guardians just saw little to no play, if any play whatsoever, outside of pre-releases, and even then, I just don't think it was working for anyone. Megindramon X Antibody has seen little to no play as well, despite the fact there are different Megindramons that you want to see put on play because of their effects from, I think, BT2, as well as the EX3. But no, I've not seen anyone play this card as of yet. Magnemon X Antibody, as we spoke about in yesterday's episode, fantastic in armor and fantastic in other decks like Blue Flare that has armor at level 5. This digivolves into that. Gets to have its goad effect. Gets to have, if you have an armor underneath it effect, put this at the top of your security stack to be really annoying to your opponent. Tiki and Izzy, let's have tamers that do cross yellow and green. I don't think we've really seen much of it till now, obviously with the access to Lotmon and Terrier being green and yellow and black, I think, as the third one from EX4. That is kind of maybe something that people want to look at, but I do think it's going to be already heavily stacked in terms of your tamers. As far as I'm aware, I don't think I've ever seen this card actually played, because I think people prefer to stick to the memes than do about this card in green. Waking of the Golden Knight, which we spoke about earlier. This card is fantastic. It lets Magna stack on top of Magnas, as well as putting Magna on top of Armor Rush card, on top of a Magna with a Magna X antibody on top of that, which makes it cheaper if you're going to go into Magna X from Magna. Not the Magnas. But that was what this card's used for. It's either to basically make a giant stack of Magnas or to put Magna X on top of Magna for a cheaper cost. And then Sunrise Buster. Cost phenomenal. Card does way too much. 5 cost isn't really that expensive, especially sort of mid-game when you are getting all your tamers out. This is fantastic in red and yellow, and this was going to be used in a lot of security control variants where you played Maid Mode. I think it's Maid Mode. Where you circle in this card, put it on top of your security stack. Your opponent will have to hit into it if they don't have a way of jamming out of it with ADP or have an effect on their Digimon that says don't affect security of options. Unfortunately, for people who were like begging for this card to be the best thing ever, it is now at 1. So for those of you like myself who wanted this to be like forever the best, unfortunately our time has run low. Well, also very good in Shaman. Speaking of Shaman, BT10. So we in Shaman stuff again. They are trying to do more Porcemon things, as you can see. Unfortunately, Porcemon's not doing much. Starmon's really fantastic in the Hearts deck. I don't think I've seen anyone play Tinkermon. Renamon's actually adding quite a little bit of details into the EX2 deck. Same with the QB as well as the Tau. And as we spoke about earlier, the Maid Mode is just a fantastic card, letting you cycle more of your option cards. Drek is kind of used in and Sanzu is used in the Venusmon deck. That's not really currently utilized very well, but as of BT12 will be used more because you're throwing in cards that will let you essentially cheaply get level 5s out onto the field very cost efficiently. Pick one is your baby of choice in terms of X Hearts, which is Shampmon deck. And then we have Akiri. It lets you play this guy for free, and then when you play him, another Digimon or Tamer with X Hearts in their traits, you can reduce something's TP by 3,000, which is really good. And then when you play a card with X Hearts in its traits, you gain a draw, which is pretty good. Healing Therapy, I've not seen anyone play, but it makes sense to play it in a Venusmon deck because you can get something minus security attack, which makes everything else happy or less sad. Impulse Memory Boost, I've not seen anyone use, and Achaean? Adistico? I have no idea. I don't speak. I want to say Italian? I feel that's Italian. I feel like Roman. Yeah, I've not seen anyone play any of these cards at all, so I'm going to presume they're not being very good, or there's no reason to play this currently anyway. If you have one pulse from your hand without paying its memory cost, then add this card to your hand. Delay, gain 2 memory. Yeah, maybe if we get a better Pulsemon deck in the future, they might actually add this and make some more sense. When we get a Pulsemon tribal deck that's actually going to work well, I can actually see this being a good card for that deck. But until then, unfortunately, not. And maybe another year or two of support and we'll actually get a working deck like Galamon. And then EX3. Here we've got Angel support, we've got Dragon support. So there's two, that's all it is. There's two decks basically running alongside each other here, and that's the Agumon up into the Dragons, and this is just essentially Agu into Vidra, into Aero, into any of the Dragons that you want to see here, as well as the Azulong and the Megadramon. And essentially this is just a deck that revolves around this option card that either lets you trash it, or gain it, or use it, or abuse it in any way, shape, and form. We also have Angel Searching. We have Angel Searching. We have an on-play body for 5 that lets you recover 1. So yeah, you search your security stack, you reveal 1 card from it. If it's a yellow, add it to hand. You may recover if it was the yellow. If not, just add it to hand. And then on play, one of your opponent's Digimon gains -2 security for the turn. And then if you have a Digimon with 4 sovereigns, its traits gain 2 memory, so it becomes a 5 cost at -2 security. The whole thing just revolves around these guys getting out and just being devastating. And I believe Goldra lets you like put things back on the field when attacking. I think it's been a while. So not too much happened here. This is very rogue, and I don't think a lot of people really bothered with this. It's super cheap if you want to pick it up. But that was yellow in a nutshell. It did quite a few things. I think Security Control won 1 or 2 places out the whole year just because it's how good a good deck it is. That was the purple-yellow variants. So, yellow done. We're going to see you tomorrow for green. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more mayhem that happened in the wonderful Digimon metaverse. So, peace out and goodbye, Tamers.